Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.
Kwame, and there may be an episode can say, oh, listeners no at their tuja. I mean, the but one, Kwame,
Nana,
outside the Supreme Court, where we petition took a couple of months. So now where we Supreme Court are dealing with the issues President Mahama they call court. Now we months after the Supreme Court, all fresh allegations and serious ones. Say Electoral Commission no a printy extra 1 million votes. Completed. How should it be investigated? Or how should it be dealt with?
freedom of speech.
Where freedom of speech? Kwame obi frɛ ɔkɔmfo freedom of speech.
Na me dey name frɛ me. Na frɛ me name bebre. Me crook, me stomach journalist, me criminal, me bebre.
Kwame wo no.
No one that be aka say goes to the territory.
And America no everywhere.
But Kwame wo.
Now who question wo. In some the names you've been called you. Comes to the territory.
Kwame yes, your friend names.
As long as you work in the public space, yeah. Sure.
But allegation like this against a public body. Elections so it's in the national interest. So that make it's in the national interest that such an allegation once enka or the court as part of the case and a court that settles the matter. But all your allegation outside the court, ye jai me hangia. How do we know the truth? Yeah, how do you know the truth? So there has to be some investigation, detailed investigation. Now you're sharing bisano non check how it was possible to print an extra 1 million ballots, printed for one candidate.
And I can see can say police for you assumedly. Nasi you na EBI fan say on my evidence now. Then what happens to the verdict of the Supreme Court?
No, but that Supreme Court verdict, it cannot be overturned. It can be overturned, it can be reviewed.
Several months later.
Assuming say clear evidence emerges, say 1 million ballots were printed for one candidate. And Kwame, it could affect the results. Because the margin of victory was about 500 and baby. If evidence back and nas police for somebody then just goes back to the Supreme Court.
Then what happens?
The Supreme Court will rule. Whatever it is, no, whatever it is, the Supreme Court, they may say I late or whatever. But we have to get to the bottom. Now such an allegation by but from former president, former commander-in-chief of the AE. Because a freeze obiat can be
as former commander-in-chief, so can say soldier for so intimidating for Nema. Electoral Commission. I mean, free speech.
Wherever is a free speech.
Assuming say a investigation, near who sent someone over Mahama it will have an impact on the continued legitimacy of the president.
You go back to the Supreme Court.
Fantastic. Yeah. Is it allowable? So Supreme Court a decision on an electoral petition. Now 1 year later, year filing for review. Is that what the law says?
You must leave that to the Supreme Court. But we must get to the truth.
That's something about Nieka. Pacho. Emremu Kwame with them have me. Shows what here Mosukre Yebu. You have a friend of purposive interpretation of law. Purposive interpretation of law. The law must not be interpreted in such a manner that it brings chaos and misery and so on. You understand? And it's a purposive interpretation of law. What would happen at this stage if we find, say, indeed the elections were rigged? What will happen?
You leave that to the Supreme Court.
That's
the bottom line. Because Kwame,
doesn't matter. We're having a conversation.
The Supreme Court, assuming maybe see how on earth so be benyan swore say 1 million ballots were thumb printed and put in favor of one candidate. Mean who how? But assuming that on the weirdest possibility, say Jina so be ba. We have to get to the truth. The Supreme Court may say, okay, now they be most Jina so, but I late or purposive interpretation, whatever.
What if?
But you cannot say because you President Mahama can say anything and get away with it. Is that what you are saying?
What if I catch you say, Oma Jina so be a knowing himself, obende?
But not to fears.
We know it's not possible.
Brother, the whole country will know. So Ninja so.
I'll say the Wakana.
When time I this for a cancer elections in area. Sen command court. But this time you come be and we will have doubts in our head. But they had their day in court. We see more evidence and more year more fembra. Coming now live on TV. Anambwa. Into that, they can still say, oh, but the rest of the country or the world knows, the process went through, they were given a fair hearing. So, yes, sir. Until let's get to the bottom. You have to mean, I said, Nuntino, elections, Yatwebi, no, yes, sir, allegations. Now, the first question, I didn't think that's the same way say. Man for done the Supreme Court.
And I'm saying you're moving later.
Oh, Kwame.
Nana.
Ballot boxes here, ballots here printed no dabe. Way before the election.
Not the same way go Supreme Court too.
Done.
The same way.
1 million.
Overvote, not the 1 million figure.
1 million.
But overvoting was before the Supreme Court. Our Supreme Court can say yes, there's evidence that there was overvoting. But the overvoting was not significant enough to overturn the election results. So overvoting went before
2012 overvoting But this is a specific allegation. I mean, if there was overvoting 1 million, immediately the results are not valid. Because the margin was not 1.4, 1.5 million. The margin was 500. If there was overvoting 1 million, immediately it affects the results.
You're right.
Well, President Mahama should be a bit restrained.
Are they?
Oh, because you see, when you throw in this kind of things here, statements like this, now you jama, all kinds of implications, especially when there is no basis for it, no basis whatsoever. Well, and impugning the integrity of the Electoral Commission, especially the Electoral Commission. Undermining confidence in the Electoral Commission. So mutimi na Electoral Commission will come to us if one could be able to say, hey, now you can't say same way say so by no less a person. Na muti odin. In terms they said they've gone beyond merely denying and asking for proper investigation by the police. Because the assembly is too serious. Now, Kwesi can say 2012 Kwesi 2012 no President Akufo-Addo oji Supreme Court oji two more.
Yeah, but one year to say bano crunching year 2 year.
No,
the MPP continued insisting that the elections of 2012 had been rigged until 2016.
Kwesi. Verdict no buy. Akufo-Addo G2.
Sir, Mahama saw the verdict.
On G verdict no too.
And one call review.
On G2.
And one call review.
Kwame, Mahama wajiatum.
Me nim so on G2.
Oh, now the speech no ma after the verdict, the speech is there. Me fan send you. In fact, in the speech he went, Jose.
First send it.
But you've read it.
Fabra.
In the speech, he even went on to castigate the Supreme Court. Not just to mind our friend Akufo-Addo and congratulate him. Up to now, that's why it's coming up with all this 1 million. Or shall we bring another allegation if this thing is not checked?
Come with me,
Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet you.